recommendations to see exactly how, Cameroon becomes more attractive for businesses.
Business actors are therefore hopeful that their preoccupations will be addressed.
This press release from the Prime Minister's office: the 11th session of the Cameroon Business Forum will take place on Thursday, the 22nd of October in Yaoundé in strict compliance with safety measures and will be chaired by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Mr. Joseph John Gute. The theme chosen for this session is COVID-19, Proofing the Business Environment. Established in January 2009 with the support of the International Finance Corporation of the World Bank Group, the Cameroon Business Forum is the main forum for dialogue between the state and the private sector. The mission of the Cameroon Business Forum is to promote the strengthening of dialogue between public authorities and the business community, the improvement of the business climate, and the support for the development of the private sector. In recent years, this forum has brought together more than 200 participants from the public and private sectors, development partners, and the civil society at each session, resulting in the adoption of recommendations whose implementation has led to progress in various areas of the business environment. The respect of social distancing measures this year imposes the need to reduce the number of people invited to take part in the forum. The meeting of tomorrow is part of the dynamic of reforms oriented towards the development of the private sector to engine the growth and main provider of jobs. It is signed by the Secretary General at the Prime Minister's office, Séraphin Magloire-Fouda. And this annual rendezvous will be broadcast on CRTV platforms, CRTV News, CRTV Web, CRTV National Station, FM 94 and CRTV Littoral. And it will be hosted by Fonka Mutabo Bernard and Lucrèce Mebenga. In other news, economic operators in the tourism sector have received the sum of 1.7 billion CFA francs from governments to boost their activities that have been crippled by the coronavirus pandemic. The Minister of State, Minister of Tourism and Leisure, Bello Buba Maigari, has outlined the modalities for the financial support in a circular letter. Cynthia Saptala has the details.
The 1.7 billion CFA francs of the National Solidarity Fund given by the state to those in the tourism sector greatly affected by the ongoing pandemic will be distributed following certain procedures. Based on the circular signed by the Minister Bello Buba Maigari, hotels, for example, must fulfill all conditions outlined in any of the 6 categories listed in order to receive a share of the 810 million francs allocated to them. For those establishments serving food and drinks, they must fall under any of the 2 categories listed, that is, be concerned with the upcoming international football competitions or contribute in promoting Cameroon's varied cuisine.
If you pay the salaries and you cannot provide the food for the customer, is bringing the customer back in the restaurant the priority?
For those economic operators concerned, government's gesture is highly awaited, though some say changes in the sector must follow.
It makes us think strategy. How are we going to recover? To recover, the sector has to be structurized. It was good to know that government listened.
October 6th, tourism enterprises with the following documents have been dropping their files in order to obtain a share of the amount.
In one of our top stories, it is exactly 4 years since the country's worst train accident in Izika, which left 80 people dead, 500 wounded, and 7 others missing. A tragedy Cameroonians won't forget in a hurry, as it changed perspectives and led to major decisions by governments to avoid a repeat. 4 years down the lane, Beatrice Law Samba visited some survivors who recount the dark tale.
Life takes another meaning for someone who has survived a train crash.
I was thinking that my heart would be cut, my belly would be open.
Like many on that fateful Friday, the 21st, Kopo, the artist, took the train that was compelled to extend wagons in order to accommodate crowds of passengers stranded as a result of the collapse of a bridge at Manyai, 60 kilometers from Yaoundé, halting traffic between Yaoundé and Douala.
I woke up in the morning in my home, tried to take a bus, being in the train, and people died all around me.
And he saw death very close to him.
I have blood on my head, but it was not mine. It was the blood of somebody beside me, upon me, and I was sit on a lady.
Memories as fresh as yesterday in the minds of Cameroonians. 80 people died, 500 others gasping for breath in hospital. A crisis unit was immediately created to look after the wounded and assist families of victims. The head of state set up an inquiry commission to shed light on Cameroon's deadliest train crash. Disbursed 1 billion CFA francs to help the families of victims still to recover from the shock 4 years later.
Away from that dark incident in Cameroon, our newsroom dossier spotlights the phenomenon of skin bleaching, which is gaining grounds in our community. It is practiced by women and men alike for beauty reasons or for fashion. The methods of application differ, the cost depends on the effectiveness of the products, and the health risks abound. Alice Mbey probes into these acts of depigmentation.
Skin lightening is the act of removing the first layer of the skin, a phenomenon practiced by both men and women. It entails the application of cream mixtures on the skin.
When women want to become fair in color, I compose a cream and mask treatment from Aman products. I follow them up through rendezvous until their colors become identical. The prices begin from 35,000 francs upward, depending on the type. The price of half-clear person is close to 35,000 francs. For lighter persons, it is close to 50,000 francs. When the case is complicated, it can go up to about 90,000 CFA francs and even 120,000 francs. For very dark women who want to become lighter, I give them injections. For a métis color, the price is 250,000 CFA francs.
The risk factors of skin bleaching are enormous.
We have skin infections such as sensitivity to light, neurologic symptoms such as tremor, skin turning into dark, visible blood vessels in the skin, liver and nerve damages, and skin cancer.
Skin complexion is a natural gift from God and should be preserved.
Cosmetic companies are into stiff social marketing to promote their products, sometimes encouraging the misuse of some drugs for the purpose of skin lightening. These adverts, which completely ignore the side effects of bleaching, such as cancer, kidney and liver damage, are strongly condemned by many. Beatrice Ngum looks at the law regulating such advertisements.
Billboards like these seize your focus along major junctions of the country's big cities. Exaggerated advertisement on skin bleaching. To recruit more fair-skinned disciples, the social media is their new market. They advertise products that can change a dark skin to a fair one in record time, present the black skin as an inferior complexion. Adverts that have ushered in the debate on the law on advertisement.
The law of the 29 December 2006 is talking about products that are dangerous for the health. No particular article in that law regulates that aspect of cosmetic products.
This regulation might not directly sanction outrageous adverts on cosmetics, but the National Publicity Council can strike the balance.
Maybe the law will take it and try to analyze and see what they can do.
However, Articles 23 and 24 of the law on publicity in Cameroon spells out what should be in the content of adverts and sanctions products that endanger one's health or pro-racial discrimination.
On to infrastructural developments. The evaluation of road construction projects under the supervision of the Ministry of Public Works continues in the South region. Minister Emmanuel Nganu-Jomesi was at the Olama-Bingambo stretch, where work has advanced by 63%. Joyce Kimbe-Fuaju reports.
Disenclavement dream of a people being concretized. Olama-Bingambo stretch, 105 kilometers long, 15 kilometers already tarred. Drainage and other works advancing. Engineers confirm 63% executed in 2 years of the 4 years project.
The bridges are almost 80% gone into the works, and there are other works like social amenities, social infrastructures that are practically 95% completed.
Beneficiaries celebrate a change of story. I really appreciate our parents never believed that the road will pass. Today, it's a reality. The Bigamo Grand Zambi stretch, the contract is being attributed while work on the Grand Zambi Kribi portion is advancing. Globally, visiting Minister Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi is satisfied with the progress and quality of work.
Cameroon's parliament has pledged to support actions aimed at promoting the preservation of the Congo Basin. This was at an audience granted by the Senior Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Hilarion Etong, to the German facilitator of the Congo Basin Forest, Dr. Christian Rock. A working session ensued with the Parliamentary Network for the Sustainable Management of Forest Ecosystems, REPAR. Details in this report. The Congo Basin, which is the second largest forest in the world, has for the last 20 years been threatened by deforestation, with the biggest driver being industrial logging. To leapfrog the loss of 268 million hectares of forest area, the Senior Deputy Speaker, Honorable Hilarion Etong, exchanged with the Congo Basin Forest Partnership Facilitator, accompanied by Her Excellency, Corinne Afrique, on the protection of communities.
To search for a way to preserve on the one hand, to organize development for the countries and the people here on the other hand, to reconcile a little bit protection of the forests, but also development.
In order to check the preponderance of small-scale deforestation, the Parliamentary Network for the Sustainable Management of Forest Ecosystems, REPAR, led by its national coordinator, Honorable Jean-Jacques Zam, agreed with the facilitator on a common prototype declaration of all 119 members of the Congo Basin Forest Partnership.
One of the main recommendations is to associate the local population in all the discussion who concern the forests, who concern them.
They complied good governance, guided transhumance activities, and alternate solutions to fuel wood must be accelerated. In other news, the military operation in the Northwest region, codenamed Bamenda Clean, has led to relative improvements on the security and business climate in the town. Inhabitants now experience reduced gunshots, kidnappings, and less intense lockdowns, as Kilo Valerin Sala reports.
Few months ago, this would be a jungle drive into rampant gunshot with stories of kidnappings shattering your ears. But we've arrived this junction in the locality known as Below Foncha. Here, we spot economic activities sluggishly picking up. We transit through Molang, Rendezvous, Tarikon to the hospital roundabout, areas previously with a common trademark, heightened insecurity that may just be giving way to a semblance of normalcy.
People today are sleeping safely up to morning without any problem.
In peripheral areas of Bamenda Line, Taturu, Mine 90, Ntaseng, Ntakan and others, security is still a work in progress, a sharp contrast to the image of the central town. The students and pupils are still spotted in strange attires, signs of the fear syndrome in this city full of unpredictability.
A delegation of senior military officers from Nigeria has applauded security cooperation with Cameroon and described the ties as legendary. The revelation was made at the International War College in Simbok, Yaoundé during the first phase of their study visit to Cameroon. Kilian Dandifon tells us more.
The 15 Nigerian strong delegation visits the International War College at Simbok in Yaoundé in strict anti-COVID-19 measures.
Our visit is based on a theme, which is part of our curriculum at the Air Force War College, Nigeria, to study the Cameroonian security architecture and look at approaches and methods that they are using for irregular warfare that we can adopt.
9 Air Force and 3 support staff of the Nigerian Armed Forces are in the current 16 batch of trainees of the War College and enhance cooperation.
We cooperate at all levels. We are neighbors, we are brothers, even, at the Multinational Joint Task Force, the other frameworks.
Colonel Tioka Pieloti, commander of the International War College, Simbok Yaoundé, Sunday assured the Nigerians on a study trip of the Cameroonian legendary availability to cooperate.
The Cameroon National Council of Crime Experts has described the biased reports of experts of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights on the situation of sympathizers of the Cameroon Renaissance movements. The president of the council, Francis Steve Olinga-Tuil, chided the article believed to have been influenced by ill-intentioned persons. Ebenezer Akanga has the details.
After closely analyzing the report of experts of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights on the reaction of the government of Cameroon to the illegal demonstrations organized by the Cameroon Renaissance Movement on the 22nd of September 2020, the Cameroon National Council of Crime Experts has strongly condemned it in its form and content. According to the president of the council, Francis Steve Olinga-Tuil, the report is full of imaginations and false denunciations obtained from people of bad faith. Hence, it lacks objectivity and impartiality.
If the experts want to make an inquiry, they will first take into consideration the fact that the Cameroon government has the right to maintain public order. And maintaining public order implies that Cameroon government can eventually arrest some people, those who are threatening peace, social peace.
The Cameroon National Council of Crime Experts denounces the report, saying that it is intended to cause problems rather than provide solutions for peace and stability in Cameroon.
On to this hideous crime, a 45-year-old man is under custody for killing his pregnant wife in 2014 and sexually assaulting his 9-year-old daughter for the past 2 years. The perpetrator confessed the abominable acts and later exhumed the remains of his late wife he had single-handedly interred. Kilian Dandifon reports on the tragedy which occurred in Polo village in Lake Division of the Center region.
Cecile is only 10 years old, but her father Felix has been sexually abusing her since 2018. After examining her, medical doctors say she is already as open as any mature woman. It is the wailing of her 6-year-old younger sister Michelle, who could not bear the penetration pains of her 45-year-old father, that alerted the neighbors who reported the incest to the gendarmerie. The uncommon act pushed the security forces to investigate the disappearance of these incestuous rape victims' mother 5 years ago. Felix, who had convincingly lied to everyone that she escaped from home, this time confessed that he himself killed her during a family squabble and buried the body in an abandoned pit near the house. Tuesday, October 20, 2020, to the disbelief of everyone, Felix dug out the skeleton in a reconstituted crime scene at Polo Village, Sarsop Division in the Lekier Center region of Cameroon, supervised by the State Council, divisional officer, medical experts, and security officials.
Congratulate the population who had participated in this procedure.
The suspect's family name is Mbele, literally translated as witchcraft. His fellow villagers say earlier this year, in his house, he chopped off and swallowed a piece of flesh from a woman who later died.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Breast milk increases the immune system of babies and enables them to produce strong antibodies. With the coronavirus, some school of thought hold that the regular consumption of breast milk keeps the virus at bay. To know how true or untrue this assertion is, let's join Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Brigitte Wanji, at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening to you, Esther Kmer. Effectively, we talk about that subject with Dr. Bridget Wanji, who is our guest, and she's a gynecologist. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening, sir. I'm Badwin.
Tell us, doctor, how effective is it? Can the breast milk actually help avoid a person being infected with the coronavirus?
Well, WHO and the Cameroonian Society of Gynecologists recommends that women continue to breastfeed their babies, even in this time of the pandemic, even when they're diagnosed positive. This is because breast milk contains antibodies, and the antibodies help to strengthen the immune system and so the defense mechanism of the babies. So the more the babies are protected, the more they can fight serious diseases, probably including even the coronavirus infection.
Tell us, doctor, can this breast milk and its antibodies serve as therapeutic base?
Well, coronavirus is just about 1 year old, so there is so much research that is still going on. We're waiting for the results to be able to back up some hypotheses. For instance, one of the research that is being carried out in COVID-19 confirmed positive women, breast milk is being collected, the antibodies are extracted, and are using these antibodies to see if they can cure or prevent infection in other people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bridget Wanji. You're a gynecologist, for being our guest this evening. The message is clear. I'll continue with the regular consumption of breast milk for our children because it helps to build the immune system. Back to you, Esther Kmer.
Thanks, Baldwin. We still remain in health, but this time talk about animals. The National Free Vaccination Campaign against small ruminant plagues has been launched in Gumjap in the Central region. 6 million sheep and goats will be immunized during the second phase that will run till the 20th of December. Beatrice Ngum reports.
Several breeders stand out for the mass and free vaccination campaign against plagues attacking small ruminants. The crusade to protect animals, which are a source of livelihood and food for this predominantly livestock breeding population, will as well help the state save 300 billion CFA francs.
Enable our population to have this food security we are talking of, and also to sell out the animals that will produce enough meat.
The Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries, Dr. Tiger, told the breeders vaccinating their animals will help scale down mortality among cattle and improve on the quality of meat. The population was urged to collaborate with vaccination agents who will comb the villages and households to administer the vaccine. Phytosanitary equipment and bikes worth some 15 million CFA francs were also donated to some young veterinary agents in line with the 3-year plan to promote youth employment.
In education, the oral competitive entrance examination into the National Institute of Youth and Sports (INGS) and of the National Center for Youth and Sports (NAGES) has taken place. The online test through video conference was coordinated by the Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reform, Joseph Lay. He now expounds on the exercise.
The head of state, as always, says we must modernize our administration. This is the very first time we are doing this in our country. Oral exam by video conference. Everything is going on smoothly. For these oral exams today, we have about 400 candidates, but only about 50 of them have chosen to do it by video conference. And it's important to start. There's still a kind of fear. Some of them, or many of them, thought that it will not be possible.
In one of our top stories, Martin Tungu-Pile is the new acting head coach of the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon. He was appointed alongside David Pagu as second deputy head coach today by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, Professor Narcisse Moelekombi. This was at a crisis meeting with the Cameroon Football Federation today. Baldwin Sama tells us more.
He is considered one of the finest coaches Cameroon has produced. Discreet, soft-spoken and efficient have been his watchwords. Martin Tungu-Pile making a comeback into the Intermediate Lions den is no surprise to many, given his rich international experience with different national football teams of Cameroon. After being part of the 2000 Olympic gold-winning team in Sydney, Martin Tungu-Pile has coached the junior national team of Cameroon, the Intermediate Lions, taking them to the African Nations Championship, and he has equally served as deputy head coach of Cameroon's Indomitable Lions. He is expected to use his sense of ingenuity to reignite the winning spirit in the Intermediate Lions' den. David Pagu, appointed second deputy head coach, is currently the coach of PWD of Bamenda. He led the team to their success campaign of the Elite One Football Championship last season. As per the press release signed by the Minister of Sports and Physical Education, the changes effected are aimed at helping Cameroon's Intermediate Lions better prepare for the upcoming African Nations Championship, while Yves Clément Aroga has been put at the disposal of the Cameroon Football Federation.
Still in sports, the special advisor to the president of Côte d'Ivoire's local organizing committee for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations is in Cameroon for a 3-day working visit. Mahama Coulibaly, received in audience by Sports Minister Professor Narcisse Molekombi, is here to tap from Cameroon's experience on the organization of sporting events. Bod and Sama once again with the details.
With ready sports infrastructure to successfully host great football competitions, Cameroon remains an example to emulate by others, and Côte d'Ivoire has come to tap from Cameroon's rich organizational experience. Mahama Coulibaly, special advisor to Côte d'Ivoire's president of the local organizing committee of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations, says his country wants to learn and equally share ideas with Cameroon, given that they will be hosting after Cameroon.
I'm here for working with the organization of Cameroon committee and to share our expertise with them. I suppose that Cameroon, in a few years, we will have a good organization. You must know that we will have organization in Cameroon.
After meeting with Sports and Physical Education Minister this Wednesday, Mahama Coulibaly will have a series of working sessions with Fcfa officials and members of Cameroon's local organizing committee of the African Nations Championship.
That will be all for this edition of the 7:30 News, in which you heard that the 11th edition of the Cameroon Business Forum, grouping actors of the public and private sector, will open tomorrow in Yaoundé, with emphasis laid on ensuring the survival of businesses and an economic rebound amidst the coronavirus pandemic. The events will be chaired by Prime Minister Joseph Diangote. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Adel Mbala. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing. Thanks for watching the 7:30 News. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing